You're watching the Tesla Life Bulletproof Edition, live with your host, Mark Coughlin.
Bulletproof Edition, love it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 330. And yes, it's all about the bulletproofing today. And our friend Moto has got the spoons of death ready to block those bullets. Look at that. It's like Wonder Woman. Boom, bing, bing.
Right, deflecting them.
Deflecting, exactly. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, we've got, what's the date today? The 25th of October, 2023. And boy, have
25 days.
We've got some news today, don't we, Moto? Yes, we do. Absolutely. But first, introductions. We have Mr. Patrick Connor joining us from the West Coast. How are you today, sir?
Hello. So yeah, last week for the show, I was pretty under the weather. And I'm feeling much better now. I'm still a little congested, but I'll make it through. I always look forward to this show. Good times.
Excellent, excellent. If you made it last week, you'll have no problem this week, then I would imagine. So
right.
Also joining us, Mr. Casey Green and daughter Moto from the Central Atlantic region. How are you today, sir?
We're doing pretty well. Just singing something.
Something's going on. Something's happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's great. Welcome all to the show. Who did we have in the chat first? Oh, look at that. June C has joined us. Hello, June.
Hello.
Thanks for joining. So
yeah, and I want to thank everybody in the chat for all the well wishes last week, because my voice, you could tell, and they were like, "Oh, I hope you get better." Thank you all. Thank you.
Exactly. Well, that's great, Patrick. You're feeling a little better. And let's get to the news, because we got a bucket load of it. And we're going to start, Casey. It looks like someone else has joined the NACS coalition. Who is that?
It's not who you'd expect.
Yeah, okay.
in fact, you might expect them to be last, but they're not. And they are from Texas. And their name starts with T. So now both T automakers out of Texas have NACS ports on their cars starting in 2025. Yeah, so Toyota finally came to the Supercharger coalition. Amazingly, just like BMW and Hyundai, they managed to have yet another completely unique intro. So they, unlike BMW, who didn't mention adapters at all. Good luck keeping people buying your cars in between when you put the port on and not.
Mm-hmm.
And unlike Hyundai, where the adapters come last, Toyota said we will make the adapters available, or they will be made available. They didn't say they were going to sell them, and they didn't say they'd be free. They'd be made available, as if they were just going to be magic ducks. The only thing that doesn't lend into that magic duck theory is that they still use the same 12,000 number that BMW and Hyundai did not use. And it also sounds like they said select vehicles will ship directly with the NACS port, and select vehicles would have the adapters made available. So they only have one right now. Hopefully it's select. Otherwise, you're out in the cold and won't know until 2 years from now. And then they've got this new 3-row SUV that they're planning, probably the Land Cruiser concept they showed us, and it will have the native NACS port in 2025.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, at least they didn't announce they were going with Chatamo.
Even Japan's not doing that.
The funny comment that I saw, one of the stories about this said, well, with as many EVs as Toyota makes, at least they're not going to be clogging up the supercharger
Oh,
it's true. I talked to one of our Prius friends who switched over to the BZ4X, and apparently there was a software update, so it can now charge down to -4 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow. So still unusable in Ontario.
Right. He didn't say how quickly that -4 is either, so it could still be slow.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you got to have a car that can charge in negative temperatures, and that's just not going to be good for northern North America for sure.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not like it doesn't snow in Japan or get hot. They experience both. So Nissan and Toyota have no excuse for this.
Yeah, it's not like they said, "Oh, surprise weather! I didn't know it got cold elsewhere in the world." Yeah, but
I guess they have an effect, though, so the temperatures are a little more.
What happened to your connection there? Your feed is like muffled.
All right, can you hear me?
There you go.
now you're back.
Okay. They get the island effect in Japan, so the temperatures are in a slightly smaller zone. So maybe it doesn't. I'm sure that parts of Canada are way colder than anything Japan's experienced.
They can go drive to the top of Mount Fuji.
That's true. And they can go test in Canada or Norway.
They only go there during the sunny afternoons.
Right.
There's no need to go to the top of Mount Fuji any other time.
Right. If it's that cold, just stay home. They're
You stay
thinking
home.
of you.
You just stay home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Next,
Our
let's
favorite
roll
is
on to the next
Lake.
story. And Patrick's got this about some exciting news in Europe.
All right. Yes. So this comes to us from Teslarati by Simon Alvarez. So Tesla Europe has posted on X, 14 years ago, we delivered our first Tesla Roadster to customers in Europe. Today, we hit 1 million Tesla vehicles on the road across Europe. Thanks to our owners and supporters for helping us accelerate the transition to a sustainable energy future. Yay! So, yeah. Volumes in Europe really started once Shanghai started exporting, and now that Giga Berlin is up and running, and Tesla Y was the best-selling vehicle of any kind in August in Europe. So I think that 6 million is going to be a lot faster than years. We just heard in the financial call how at Giga Berlin they're increasing the volumes. So yeah, it's definitely good news, and happy to see this. And any bets on how long it'll take to get to 2 million?
Yeah, it's going to grow like a hockey stick over there. Like you said, with Giga Shanghai able to produce. Actually, there's another story this week about the amount of Highlands that are heading over to Europe. And of course, they're coming from Giga Shanghai as well. They've got a sea of them loading up on ships to be sent over to Europe for selective deliveries. So, and so really you've got two factories at some point delivering to the same continent. So those amounts are going to jump dramatically. So and they were talking about supercharger infrastructure growing there as well. But actually, and with 1 million cars now on the continent, you can see why they have to ramp that up and continue to build out, because I have a feeling it's going to jump by leaps and bounds in the coming months. But that would not be a surprise at all.
Right. Yeah,
Casey, so I just wanted to mention that your background is flashing dark and light constantly.
Yes. Moto is turning the fan and the light on and off.
Oh, that's what is the remote. Okay. All right. I was just
she's got the power.
Yep.
She does.
So Patrick and I can expect our mute buttons to go off and on as the show progresses. So if that happens,
only have the fan and the light.
That's at this point, Casey. That's at this point.
True. Oh, thank
Don't
you.
underestimate.
Can I turn the fan back on?
It's getting hot in there. Turn that fan back on. Oh, very good. Very good. Next, we've got a story about our main story, actually, is about the bulletproof Tesla. So
bullet resistant.
Bullet resistant.
To certain calibers.
In certain calibers, it's bulletproof, and larger calibers resistant.
Don't try this at home.
Let's see if we can share.
Don't try this on someone else's truck.
Exactly. It is a shot that, of course, is at the end of the feed here. Sorry about that.
There he goes.
There it
Boom.
is.
So apparently, Elon went to a muddy field and decided that he would unload his Tommy gun into the side of the Cybertruck. And of course, it looks like he actually did. They said that they unloaded a full canister of this gun into the side of the truck just to see
Al
how it
Capone
would
style.
perform. Al Capone style, exactly. And as you can see from this daylight photo, it looks like the bullets really didn't penetrate the stainless
Didn't go
steel
through. It didn't go through.
Right.
For those of you in the know, that was a reference to when Franz threw the ball at the windows and it broke them, but it didn't go through.
Right. That was uttered on stage at that time. Yeah. I wonder
Yes,
if he was
twice.
saying, "You're never gonna take me alive, copper," as he was shooting it.
Right. Something that came up is since that is a fully automatic weapon in the United States, and you need a special license to have that, could we figure out how many people it could possibly be to have that thing then be driving around Austin, and then maybe interrogate them as to what they think about the truck if they're not under NDA? Also, one of the things I mentioned to Elon in the driving scene that he didn't respond to was it looked like somebody was trying to spell the CyberTruck wordmark logo there.
So it's like using the side of the truck as an etch-a-sketch with a Tommy gun.
I'm
is crazy.
expecting that next month we will see the footage of this.
I hope so.
The Cybertruck event.
I also
November
hope that
3rd.
he'll remind people that the glass is not bulletproof, and that if it's not their truck, then they're setting themselves up for a very, very bad time if they try this on somebody else's truck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
That would
wonder
be
if this.
spendy to fix.
I wonder if this is going to lead to maybe some unimaginable consequences.
That's what I'm afraid of.
With people out there that are not completely mentally stable.
Or inebriated, perhaps.
Maybe.
Hold my beer. Watch this.
Not sure, but again, it was advertised at the beginning that the Cybertruck would be bullet resistant to a 9mm.
Right.
And I don't know my weapons. I don't know if a Tommy gun is along the same caliber as a 9mm or more.
The
or
bullets
less.
are bigger but slower, but they have more mass, so they have more energy.
Right, they're slightly larger than 9mm.
Okay.
So another Canadian in my feed mentioned that in their province it wouldn't be possible to sell this because it was armored, and I suggested that either they wouldn't consider this armored because it's an accident, or Tesla would have to apply for an exemption certificate for all the owners when they get this homologated because it's stock. Also, if they do have to get an exemption, that would mean that in that person's province, you cannot add any containers to the inside of the car, like fixed, because that is against the law in that province. He showed me the law, and I'm like, oh, that would suck. So hopefully the province.
That's interesting. What province was that person from?
I don't recall. I'm an American. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So a quick Google says Tommy gun shoot 45 caliber.
That's right.
Okay. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. Is an exemption going to be required because of that? I can't see it being that because it's not sold as an armored vehicle.
Right, and that's the way I was interpreting the law when I read it. It was very plain English written. It wasn't like lawyer speak, and it seemed to be that if the intent was to make an armored car, like if you're somebody who makes upfitted like armored cars, police cars, limos, that sort of thing, and then your customer can no longer add additional compartments inside it without letting the local Mounties know that they've added a gun compartment or a gold bullion cage or something.
Because of course the vehicle, an armored vehicle would be protected typically on all sides, windows included, and this of course is not the case.
Right, and they could always argue, hey, how could it possibly be an armored car? The windows go down, and not just enough to pay the tolls.
Yeah, Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think that's going to apply. But really, the CyberTruck is new territory for many things. It'll be interesting to see as they start to roll out what happens in different jurisdictions. But it's it's going to be different. Everyone out there is going to, not just the look of it on the road, but there's going to be people trying to cross lakes and all sorts of fun things are going to go on with the CyberTruck. So
hopefully, if that's still in, there's like just a demo of it, so we'll know. But that was one of my questions: is like, who's going to be like that plaid guy that we looked at who drove it through a swimming trough of water and destroyed it, and then tried to claim warranty, and then complained when Tesla said, "No, we saw the video. Go kick rocks."
Exactly. So it's going to be fun as things start to roll out with the with it being put into the consumer's hands, as we say. Next, wanted to talk a little bit about a new accessory for the CyberTruck that was spotted recently at a supercharger in California. Let's see if we can get this shared. Oops, on the wrong thing. Here we go.
Speaking of this accessory, there was questioning about positioning, and then I saw another photo somewhere else that answered the question. If that's not vague enough for you, spoiler free.
So there it is. That, of course, is the vault of a CyberTruck, and we've got actually some extendable, it looks like, vault rack put in place.
Yes.
So similar to what you've seen on other Teslas, except, as Patrick had mentioned before the show started, a little bit more CyberTruckish, a little more square.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I recently installed roof racks on our Model Y, and they're nice and rounded. And I actually did a almost 200-mile drive just before getting it and just after getting and compared, and it made almost no difference. Cool. In fact, the drive with them on was a little more efficient, but that was probably due to weather or speed. So it was in the noise. Other factors are far more important. But they weren't square like this. So I don't know what drag this will cause. It'll be interesting to see when these are available.
I wonder what the idea was behind it to make them extendable so that they're not the same width all the way across, but they've got this little break in the middle as they extend to the outside. I wonder if the thought is that they'll be used elsewhere or with something else.
Right. So on the Rivian, they have the same thing, and that's because you can either store them on the bed or on the cab, and the bed and the cab are different widths. And looking at this photo, I'm seeing that the glass and the vault are also different widths. So maybe it's the same reason as the Rivian, because the question was, why put them there? What if I need to carry something other than like lumber? And then the other photo I saw was there was one over the upper portion of the glass on the rear side. And so I was like, well, there's your answer right there. Not necessarily why it stretches, but how you would handle that the guy's other situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was just because they're in the prototype phase and maybe they'll change some dimensions or something, and they just wanted flexibility. And once the design was done, they could then make them a fixed size. But I like Casey's reasoning better.
Yeah.
And this photo is a bit exaggerated on the angles, but I wanted to point out the size of the bumper. Like, I think it's the camera angle that's showing this really stick out. Like, I don't think it sticks out that far.
No, because look at the guy's legs; they don't look quite proportional either.
That's you get a lot of weird lens distortions, especially if you're close. So but that bumper, you don't want to rear end this vehicle. That's for sure.
Interesting. So
okay, I thought it was me.
So go ahead, Casey.
The other thing was so these folks were arguing about the spacing of these bars being so far back like that, and what they were good for. And that's when I figured out that they do go further up, at least on these prototypes, these release candidates, whatever. And we did all agree, everybody in that conversation, that if there was an option to have a taller one in the back, so you could have everything level, sort of like we saw with the rack at the lithium unveiling, or groundbreaking, I should say, that might be for certain loads, that might make more sense to keep it level so that it works with everything you're expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And while we're talking a little bit
cheaper than that,
while we're talking a little bit about CyberTruck, I just wanted to point out Rob in the chat area. That's high mileage, Rob from Kitchener. Rob has indicated that apparently there's 86 production models that the CyberTruck have been made now, and he got that information because of there's been a company that did a VIN crack and was able to pull information out to show registered VIN numbers. So Rob, maybe you can share some details in the chat as well as to where that number came from. But Rob was mentioning that before the show start. So that's breaking news.
Cool.
Next, going to talk a little bit about...
before we leave that one, so you can't call it a roof rack. Is it a vault rack?
That's a vault rack. Exactly.
Vault rack. All right.
Hanging over the glass, you can't really call it a roof rack, can you?
Cyber rack?
Well, yeah. Whether the roof is metal or glass, it's still a roof. So roof rack still works. Yeah.
But only if you put it above the roof.
Right. Then it's a vault rack.
That's true.
Vault rack.
That's true. You have to, of course, you have to buy two separate ones, right? So you have to have one for your roof and one for the... Because it would be labeled wrong on the box, and you just
That's right.
You just couldn't use it after that.
Upper above the vehicle mounting system, not a roof.
There
rack.
you
go. Going to take a look at this little chart. We ran this poll earlier in the week, and of course, if you would like to participate in the poll, we typically run one every Monday. And all you have to do is connect with us on our X poll, and that's at the Tesla Life to participate. And we were asking this week about the CyberTruck. We know a lot about when now it's going to be available, and of course our last poll was when is it going to be the delivery event, and the majority of the people in that poll were correct. It is November.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So this poll, we decided to ask, what do you think the price of the CyberTruck will be on delivery day? So this will be the unit that they actually deliver, because there certainly can be multiple different types of trucks with multiple motors, ranges, all that could be in play. But with the little knowledge we have, what do we think the base price is going to be of the unit they'll deliver on the 30th of November? And as you can see from the poll, 40% plus have opted to be somewhere between 50 and 65K US. So that's the majority. I voted at 65 to 80 was my guess. But
I remember what I picked.
I was not in the majority. But and then we've got the outliers of the less than 50K, the over optimistic crowd, and we've got the over 80K, the overly pessimistic crowd. So this is kind of interesting. It's going to be interesting to see if they just deliver one type of Cybertruck on delivery day. Maybe there'll be two types. Not sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's really up in the air.
They typically start with the high-end vehicles, which makes sense.
Yep.
Since they can afford to at the lower volumes, the vehicles are expensive, so you want to sell high-priced ones so to get closer to break even.
Right. Although the only ones we've seen stickers for all said dual motor. So
yeah, there were those shots of the of those units on the road with their frunks open and their lining removed. And they've been able to tell that indeed those are dual motor based on the labeling that's on those units.
I hope that just means that there's going to be a mix at delivery day, or those were the only ones they were testing with dual motors. Yeah, it's questionable, but well, we haven't got long now to wait just a little bit over a month for the 30th to roll around. 5 days.
Exactly. So
Yeah, I was thinking about why didn't they do this event
360.
on Cyber Monday, and it makes sense, but that's the Monday right after Thanksgiving, right? So
yeah.
a lot of people take that time off that weekend. I'll make it a long weekend, spend time with
You
family.
gotta grind hard,
and
80
then-
hours a week, sleep in the factory, yo.
Yeah, so
Working
I
from
don't
home
think
is
it'd be a good.
immoral.
It would not be a good day for an event. There's a lot of traveling already happening at that time, and I think people are gonna want to go home for a
On top of that, good luck filling the audience.
yeah. People are just not going to show up for an event on Cyber Monday.
Let alone upsetting the boss about not being hardcore enough.
Next, we've got a story about our favorite white hacker, Green the Only. He's been out looking at code again, and apparently through this article from notatesla.app.com, he was quoted as finding some nuggets in the code about supercharger congestion fees, a better alternative route, auto dialing 911, and also some Waze-like functionality in the software in the vehicle. So little nuggets of information. Nothing is positive here, but Green the Only has spotted many things in the past. Most memorably that I remember was him finding a logo for Apple Music, and later followed that to the point where he could see code that would incorporate Apple Music, which of course we now enjoy in our vehicles. But
an extra 2 years after that one, just like to spite him, it looked like.
Yeah, they were keeping it as quiet as they could for as long as they could. But this is kind of interesting. Waze is a hugely popular app for people that are driving, and being able to know upcoming problems or speed traps that are coming up on a person's journey. And that would be very interesting to have built in or baked into the Tesla navigation system automatically. That would be very cool to be able to access that type of thing. And of course, with now millions of vehicles on the road, you're going to have a captive audience that could use such an application and share that information with their fellow Tesla owners. So that's a huge plus.
Well, and it's just smart fleet learning if you're ever going to have a robotaxi future, right? If one vehicle encounters a detour or a roadblock or a pothole, there's no reason for every vehicle to make that same mistake, when instead the one that learns it can fleet share the data and in real time, and they can all correct for it. That's the way to go.
Pile up in Louisiana the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Or the one car crash that blocked up traffic for 6 miles the other day here.
Right, or all the cruise vehicles going to the same intersection at once because the fraternity brothers all requested them and then laughed.
Or getting stuck in wet concrete. Hey, brother, I'm stuck. Don't go this way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, only one vehicle stuck in wet concrete is enough. You don't need all of them to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
or like the Waymo one where they all went down this one cul-de-sac just every time. Every time they went past it, they just go down the cul-de-sac like little creeps. I mean, if you personify it, people describe it as creepy, but I'm sure it was just a bug in the programming that forced them to path down that particular cul-de-sac.
That is
weird.
And
these little nuggets of information that we get early just kind of makes you think about like the one thing I thought about was I remember someone mentioning the ability that Teslas at some point will be able to recognize other Teslas on the road, and the navigation system that shows the image of your car and what's surrounding your car. Wouldn't it be cool if the other Teslas showed up as Tesla icons as opposed to just generic black and gray, and they showed up as the color of those cars on the screen?
Right.
That would be very cool. So that kind of thing is kind of gamifying the system. Really, it's something to look forward to. But this is pretty neat. These little nuggets of information that we get early, and you can definitely see some benefits in it being deployed to the fleet.
Yeah, the one thing I hope they do at some point is when there's an Amber Alert out for a certain license plate, that they scan for those and report them to the. I mean, one of the things in here is being able to call 911, and that's a great thing to do. Like if airbags deploy or something, to call for help for the driver or the passenger, the people in the vehicle. So yeah, let's expand that and be a social good.
And to clarify on that point, for those of you in Europe or other places where you have the E911 services or the emergency auto dialer or whatever they call it, here in North America, we don't have that. So if your cell phone is in and it's connected to the car, it can dial 911 over your cell phone. That way you're not just left out to fend for yourself. But if your car has the SOS button on it, then your car would then have a choice of whether it's going to use your Bluetooth or the SOS. We don't have that.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Next, this is interesting. The next story we've got comes from Drive Tesla Canada. And this story is about Giga Berlin. And of course, Tesla has been talking about expanding Giga Berlin for a little while now, dropping little hints about how they have formulated a plan that they don't think there'll be much of an issue. They're already adhering to all the conditions that they have with the city that they're in, with water use, with recycling and all these different aspects. Well, they have now submitted a plan to the city as to how they would like to proceed with an expansion of Berlin. And just the other day, yesterday, I believe, that plan was forwarded to the public groups that are going to have 2 days to go through the plan and enter their comments. Now, with the building of Gigafactory Berlin and the different delays and the different issues that we saw with ants and we saw with bats and we saw with other animal life, and we saw somebody burning some cardboard
forest.
Yeah, like the many things. I can just imagine the public 2 days of comments that are going to come in. But this process has begun, and we will see how Germany, I guess, views this. Well, not necessarily Germany as a whole, but the county that they're locally in. So that's really where the power seems to lie when it came to water usage and following ordinances. It's all down to that county level. And of course, it'll be interesting to see how they respond to this. We've always known that this factory was going to grow. There were always plans. There's certainly a lot of available land that they could continue to build out buildings and lines and other things that they see fit. But of course, going through the process is the regulatory process is what is going to be interesting, just because how we saw it used in Germany at the beginning. So I'm sure there'll be many stories going forward about how this is going to proceed.
Yeah. So on the second paragraph of the article there, they said the expansion has not been without its fair share of controversies. More than 1,000 objections have been raised against Tesla's expansion plan.
Yeah, and a lot of the AstroTurf groups.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah. They
like water. They've used less water than they said they would.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've gone and completed the forest planting based on adding not just cardboard trees, but they were adding actually indigenous trees that were local to that area of Germany. So not just planting a cardboard forest to be harvested every 7-10 years.
Yeah.
So
But
Interesting.
aren't they one of the largest, if not the largest employer in the region? Like it's amazing the way that they these objections keep still coming out.
I'm really curious to see what animal or insect group is going to raise up the picket signs next. It'll be interesting to see.
You didn't say you could put in solar panels. You said you could put in light poles.
It was going to be the termites, but they ended up eating the signs before they got out. So go with that. Next, Patrick's got a story about CyberTruck again and some speculation.
That is right. So this one comes to us from Tasmanian. Tesla Cybertruck likely to deliver with 350 plus mile range by Eva Fox. So a lot of details about the Cybertruck are still a mystery. The price, the range, will there be a quad motor option? We just don't know yet. We'll find out next month. But we have a hint about the range. So a member of the Cybertruck Owners Club happened upon a Cybertruck at the Mojave, California Supercharger and was able to speak with the employee that was driving it. They asked about the range, and the employee said they didn't know and that they couldn't even change the display to range mode. It's just in percentage. But they did tell them that it will be as good or better than the Model X. So today, the dual motor all-wheel drive Model X has a range of 348 miles. So based on that, the article goes on to assume that that means the Cybertruck will have 350 or more miles of range. So who here remembers way back when Tesla, this was like 2012, 2018, they used to label their vehicles with an approximation of the battery capacity. The top end was 85 and then 90 and then 100. Yeah. Casey, I know you remember that. Yep.
Yeah, it's on the back of my car. 700.
That's right. Yes. This is ancient Tesla history. And so back then, somebody tweeted to Musk and said, when will the 110 or the 120 come out? And Musk responded that 100 was probably good enough for the time being, for the foreseeable future. And that is true until you get to vehicles that can tow and haul significant amounts. And guess what? Well, we're there when we get the Cybertruck. So maybe it's time that capacity will start going above 100 kilowatt hours, and we might see 120, 150, 160. Who knows? We'll have to wait until Sandy Monroe gets a hold of one and starts tearing it down before we can really find out. But you definitely need more capacity when you're hauling, especially if you're hauling a trailer that's not aerodynamic. Right. That's a lot of drag. It can cut your range in half in some cases. And so I would not be surprised if it's more than 350 for that exact reason. And we'll find out.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So many questions with the Cybertruck, and range is a big one. But I'd be really interested to know, and of course Tesla's going to be able to record some of this information, would be how much of the Cybertruck fleet actually tows, and what percentage of time will it tow? That would be interesting to know as to how many people are towing weekend warriors, or they are actually doing this for a job or something where they tow on a regular basis. Because I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be driving around in urban areas in a Cybertruck that's not towing anything. They may get the vault racks and put their skis on it, but I have a feeling that there's not going to be a lot of towing in those urban areas. And I think a lot of trucks are going to be spotted in those areas.
I do hope that they were paying attention every time one of us fools with the Model X was towing and plugged in the trailer lights, or even better, trailer brake controller, that they noted what was going on. Like, the trailer's this heavy, and oh my goodness, look what happened to the range. And then apply those lessons to this thing.
Yeah.
Because until the Model Y came out, this was the only vehicle that was rated to tow for quite some time.
Yeah.
Right. I did pull our pop-up camper behind our Model X a few times. So, it does impact the range for sure.
Absolutely. And of course, this can be used as a work truck. It could be used as a work truck. And of course, there should be many vehicles that use work trailers,
Mm-hmm.
lawn maintenance crews,
Mm-hmm.
people that are plumbing businesses or electrical businesses that would want to use the truck in that way. So, yeah, that's going to be a big part of it out there. But again, I don't think that information will be shared with us, but I would really love to see the percentages of the fleet after a couple of years. See actually what's going on with that fleet. Because just looking at typical pickups in my community, the vast majority aren't towing anything. Like,
Right.
I got to say that it's got to be in the area of plus 90% are not towing anything. Maybe even 95%.
Most of them are like, unless you see like a company vehicle, most of them are just really inefficient SUVs.
Yeah, but it'll be cool to start seeing that.
Oh yeah,
and that information would be very interesting to see. But I think it's going to follow the normal pickup trend. So I can't see that towing is going to be a huge majority of time.
right. But for the people that do that, they're going to need it to do it well.
Yep,
I would agree. Next,
do you think they'd ever sell a range extender that you could throw in the back? No. Casey says never. There's going to be a lot of accessories for the Cybertruck.
I mean, not if Musk has anything to say about it, but anybody else later on, maybe.
Maybe an aftermarket one. Not.
Oh, somebody else might do it for sure. The only question then is, if it is 1,000-volt architecture, how are they going to do that without making the truck freak out?
Right, that would be tricky. Yeah, you definitely need Tesla's support for it.
I could see it going the other way, Patrick, where the manufacturers of the trailers start to say, you know what, maybe we need a 40 kilowatt battery on our trailers going forward.
Yeah, like we've seen a couple campers in camper concepts in Europe and in the US.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't have to do a whole lot other than carry its own weight, and that way you're not really impacting the vehicle range.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe if they want to also make it overcome the aerodynamic drag it's adding as well.
And even if it couldn't maybe handle its own weight completely, contributing 50% or 40% would be a big difference.
If you can go from 8,000 pounds to 1,000 pounds.
Yeah.
That'll make a nice difference.
And of course, they all are going to have NACS. Definitely.
Of course. At that point, absolutely.
We didn't. Just ask him.
Exactly. Next, Casey's got a story about supercharging.
Yes. So,
MrSupercharger.com.
So, Tesla has surpassed 2,000 sites in the U.S. alone. So, we're not talking U.S. and Canada, U.S., Canada, and Mexico. Just the good old U.S. of A. 2,000 pins on the map. And we know that these are all minimum of 4 stalls, all the way up to over 100 stalls. So, this is exciting.
2,000.
2,000.
That is.
Are you including Hawaii and Alaska? All few of those.
There's only there's 1 or 2 in Alaska, right?
Not a lot.
2. Yep.
And then don't forget, what was it? Last month we got number 50,000 of actual units. So this is exciting.
Very cool. How many of them have you been to? 1,998.
Okay, we're going to play a little game. Since the U.S. has over 2,000 at this point, Casey and Patrick, what do you think Canada has in open superchargers at this point? And we're talking locations as well. How many locations are open in Canada? What's your guess?
I'll go. I'll go to order of magnitude less. 200.
Okay.
I was gonna say like 300 or 400. Yeah.
You're darn close. 198 is.
Oh wow! I was really.
Yeah.
We just need to build 2 more, and I'm perfect.
And as an extra bonus question, what do you think Mexico currently has open?
Oh, I'll
Like
say they
20.
have half the number of Canada.
Okay, so you're at 50, Casey?
20.
100.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Half. I'm doing math on a show.
There will be
It's
no math on the
not
show,
going
yep.
well. Absolutely. Absolutely. So 100 and Casey was 20.
Mm.
Number is 33.
Boom!
Casey wins that one.
So
Yep.
Casey won that round.
I win over. Bob Barker.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. That's Canada's typically 10% of the US in many things, including population. So makes sense that the supercharger is in that line as well. But that's a great achievement, and of course we hope that that just continues. There was another story just today talking about different border crossings that are in North America, and how Tesla has 14 different border crossings connected with Canada right across the country from east to west. So again, we're integrating, of course, the road system as well. So that makes complete sense. Casey?
Mhm.
Officially, you can go other places, but that's at your peril.
What do you mean at your peril? What are you saying?
I'm saying those Mounties can be mean, and you know our people.
Oh, come on. As long as you remember that once you cross the border, the signs are in kilometers, not miles per hour. So that's how you avoid the Mounties is, just stay at the normal speed.
I remember going from Alaska into Canada, and they were just like, yeah, go ahead. Pre 9/11, but they didn't even.
Your
They didn't
plans
even
in our fair country here.
Yeah, you're fine.
Not seeking work, are you?
They didn't even stop me and talk to me. They're just like, yeah,
Whatever.
have
It's
fun.
that Patrick guy. Just let him go. He's more pain in the ass than he's worth. Let him go.
Yeah, you don't want to talk to that guy.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, let's speak about another country, and how about Denmark? Denmark and Tesla have hit an interesting milestone where the sales of vehicles, Tesla has taken a crown away from the previous record holder of number of vehicles sold in a single year. The Model Y has jumped ahead in that category, and it surpassed the competition third week in October. So really, it's got another 2 months to go to run up its total. That it certainly will, with sales continuing for another 2 months. But this is not a surprise. The Model Y is taking over everywhere. We believe that it's going to be close to be the world's best-selling car total. The Model Y is approaching that number. So this is not a big surprise for Denmark. And of course, Denmark is following in the footsteps somewhat of Norway, where they're recognizing that electrification is a benefit to their country, and the numbers of EVs are being sold is continually ramping up in that country, as well as other Nordic countries in Europe. So not a surprise that Denmark has seen the success of Norway and has started to move in that direction, with other countries like Sweden will be following up shortly as well, I imagine, since they're all in the basic same neck of the woods. But they're all seeing the success of Norway and how it's working in that country.
I covered a article recently where they were talking about peak fossil fuel, and I think there was another one where they were talking about the effect on, it might have been in the same article, where I think that Patrick would enjoy this article, where they were talking about the effect on fuel prices because of Norway and Denmark and how they had been going. And they're saying that it was a lot more surprising than they expected when they went in to see what the data said. And
Cool.
That in the US, the amount of fuel not consumed is equal to closing one gas station per day from just the sales that we're doing here.
Wow.
We're not as aggressive as those two are.
So, Mark, did you say this was the best-selling EV
Or car.
or
Car.
does it? So it doesn't matter. It
Doesn't matter anymore.
Selling.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you know who it displaced? As the previous bestseller?
That I didn't see.
Okay. Yeah,
It
because
was the bug in Norway.
It was which one?
In Norway, it was the bug, and here it was the VW Up. So Volkswagen in both countries.
Oh, cool.
12,940 VW Ups were registered in 2013.
Very cool.
Yeah.
This is what we want to see: EVs being the best-selling vehicles in countries around the world.
Yeah,
so that's why Elon move to a future free from fossil fuels.
That's why Elon snipped at his CFO on the call the other day.
Right.
Yes. Filling the EV narrative, and he's like, "No, car."
Exactly. Yes,
well, that's a notable change, right? It's a notable change in the narrative as Tesla's grown over these past few years. It's quickly become. It's not an EV. It's competing in all car markets all at the same time.
I mean,
that's what annoys me about some of the analysts who are saying, "Oh, Tesla's losing EV market share." They're gaining vehicle market share. Why are you looking at it in this narrow piece of the pie when every year their sales are growing? And they're trying to frame it in the worst possible way, and it's just stupid.
Well, like when you look at the mission of the Model S, it was designed to be the best car that you could buy. It wasn't designed to be the best EV you could buy.
Yeah.
For whatever criteria they were going for, speed, handling, how it felt, and for an executive saloon, yeah, absolutely, it's way up there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very good. Very good. Next, Casey's got another supercharger story for us.
So our first V4 supercharger has gone online. We saw a couple of them coming under construction. So you might think, hey, maybe it's in Oregon. Maybe it's in Columbia, South Carolina. Nah. Our first V4
what?
According to Tesla Charging, is in Sparks, Nevada. Go figure. Right outside the Gigafactory.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense.
It does.
I would have guessed there, or if they're building them in New York at that Gigafactory there.
They don't do anything but make stuff in New York. They're like the fifth-rate Gigafactory.
Poor New York.
Oh, you got pictures. Is this the 1,000 volt? Because it does definitely look different than our regular one.
This is the 1,000 volt.
All right. So yeah, everything is longer. And it's got a little hump back there.
Yeah. Someone was saying that this makes it look like a bugged out Darth Vader.
Yeah.
That is a very good description.
Like one of them Chucky toys, the rubber ones we squeeze in the eyes bulbs. Okay, so you will be able to tell at a glance and at a touch which one is the high voltage and which one is regular. Because when we were looking at the line drawings, like you could see where they noted like that it was longer, but like you couldn't really, but not like this. If you've seen a lot of superchargers, you can tell it's different. Awesome.
And of course, the V4s have the display and the Magic Dock built into it.
So it must be a different Magic Dock than well, maybe not, because remember they are intercompatible. So.
Mm-hmm. And of course, in this picture, which is not from Sparks, Nevada, but this picture shows the cord coming from the other side. So the cords are definitely longer because the superchargers are taller, and they loop from one side down in front and then plug in over here. So they have an extra 4 feet or so of range on these wires.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then if it's on the passenger side, you have even extra length. I wonder if that's why they did it that way.
Yeah.
That and if you go at a typical supercharger install in the States, when you go to grab the handle, it's still closest to the Tesla port.
True.
Now, in some of the discussion forums talking about this new V4 in Sparks, Nevada, there was a flurry of activity of people asking to get photographs of the plates, the stamps on both the pedestals and also the charging equipment boxes, the big white boxes that are typically feeding the power to the site. And 1,000-volt has been written on some of them, but they still believe that they are handicapped in Nevada to the 250 maximum. Talking about how it could be easily switched over to go higher, but at this point they believe they're all limited to the 250 and not able to go above that at this point without some hardware changes.
Well, I mean, at this point, they don't sell any 250 plus cars. So, I mean, like, they got 262 with the Plaid, but like, why turn it on and let anybody know what they're up to? True.
Yeah. Another thing of interest is that when they're plugged in, as this truck is here, the CyberTruck, the display didn't come on at all. And that could also be because it's a Tesla vehicle and you're not using the Magic Dock, possibly. That maybe the display does not operate until you're in a non-Tesla vehicle.
Right. Like if you're on a non-Tesla NACS vehicle, then you might care to see what's going on without pulling up your Ford app or whatever.
Right. So that may be the case with that. And of course, the Magic Docks in these new V4s in Sparks are not accessible to other vehicles at this point. It's strictly you cannot release it because they're not on the app as a non-Tesla site. So you're out of luck until they change that in the apps so that the Magic Docks could be engaged. Right now they cannot be.
Can I get a link to one of them forums that you're looking at? Because I'd like to know more about this thing.
Yep. If you go to supercharge.info and you go to the site of Sparks and click on the forum hyperlink.
Oh, that's right.
You can jump into the details where this information, I was viewing it earlier today.
And I think that takes you to the TMC forum.
Correct.
Right. They're usually the ones really.
Now, I was hoping that Patrick, our infield reporter, might have swung by Wilsonville and taken a picture of the one that's close to him. But I take it that hasn't happened yet, Patrick.
That has not. Although I will be driving by it again this Friday, so I might.
The question will be: will you be stopping or just waving?
I'll probably be waving because this is a long drive, yeah.
I'll go to the one in Columbia at some point, but I'd rather it be when they're open.
Yes,
I don't want to go to another Columbia Supercharger to get home.
So I believe there's. We'd be interested to see, Patrick, if you get some photos. And I'm not pressuring you. I'm just saying if the opportunity presents itself. But right now, I believe there's 5 V4s under construction. One opened and 4 under construction.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got Oregon in Wilsonville. We've got.
There's always a bunch of traffic in Wilsonville.
Virginia. Yeah. There's one in Virginia, which is closer to Casey, but not right there. And we've got one in Alabama, one in Georgia, and the 4th one was West Coast somewhere.
Columbia, South Carolina.
Okay, my mistake. Columbia, South Carolina. So,
I mean, there might be another one, but don't forget that one. That one I can go a couple hours and come back.
Okay.
I will need a supercharger to get back. That's why I want to wait till it's open, so I don't go from one supercharger to another. It just feels weird.
Yeah.
I need a supercharger before I get on. Didn't you just leave a supercharger? Yeah, I did.
They don't call you Mr. Supercharger for nothing.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I've got it in the name. I can do what I want. I own the domain, my friend. I can go wherever I please. So that's good. Yeah. So they're starting to roll out in the U.S. It'll be interesting to see when the first one appears in Canada, and what type of volume is going to roll out. Because obviously there's still a number of level 3s that are under construction, that the pedestals are already in the ground. It'll be interesting to see when new ones come up that are just commissioned, Do they immediately go to the V4s, or is there going to be some sort of a backlog of version 3s that they've got to get out into the field first? Is it all going to switch? Another interesting one, West Hollywood, the drive-in. Is that going to be V4, or are they going to stick with V3s in the city there? So interesting to see what happens there.
Then,
exactly.
Direct you to the one that's best for your vehicle.
Exactly.
Somebody offered to, or requested to get pictures of the cabinets, and this other person pointed out they're behind a structure. And this person said, "Unless you want to post my bail, I'm not going in there to get pictures."
They need a bendable selfie stick. That's all they need. Bendable selfie stick. There you
Quad
go.
Squad. Where's the Quad Squad at?
Where's the drone army when you need it? Come on. Well, with that, let's wrap it up tonight. Casey, any shout outs? Actually, I was talking with Casey on his broadcast last Sunday.
Yeah, he was.
Cool.
Yeah. Could have come on mine. He had the link.
I did, but I didn't have the time. I was kind of in between things, so I couldn't get on camera.
Good. Yeah. So that was fun. And so speaking of that, so on Sundays at 1:10 Eastern, my time zone is about to change. Or not time zone. We're gonna play with our clocks, even though there's no reason. We're gonna play with the clock. And
yeah, Casey's going to Mountain Time. Everyone else is staying the same. So
no, not just me. Just like our entire country, those smart people that have exempted themselves. We're gonna just gonna push it back an hour just because. And so your local time may drift by an hour from ours, or we'll drift at a different time than we do, because that tells you it's for nothing when we can just move it. Let's do it on this day instead.
Everyone's confused for a week and a half, and then everyone starts to dial it in. Yeah.
Yeah. So
if they're still alive.
Over at youtube.com at KC Green. And we'll be talking about several items, including, I guess I'll have to put it in my recall section, but we're going to talk about what happened with Cruise. And it's so much worse than what Cruise put on their X posts. And it's not just about Cruise, but that's just one of the things. Let's get a little taste. Tonight at 11.
Tonight at 11. Exactly. Very good. Very good. Patrick, what do you got for us as a shout out for the evening?
As always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. And I blog occasionally at that place up there, carswithcords.net. And I have an article up there right now, The Decade That Changed Everything. So it's not until you have some perspective on a decade that you can look back and see what it was that defined that decade, whether it was the one-hit wonders or the hammer pants of the 80s. Or so I start wondering what it is that's going to define this decade. And my hope is that it is our transition to renewable energy. And that this is the decade that we finally do it in earnest. We've had the technologies for a long time, but right now we have this convergence, and things only happen when all the stars align. I mean, like, we couldn't have had Uber and Lyft until we had GPS satellites and smartphones, and that's what allowed that to happen. Well, now we have the battery technology, we have the solar panels at an affordable price that is going to allow EVs and solar to take off. And so I'm hoping that's what defines this decade. And there's one thing I did in this article that I really kind of liked. I have someone in 2035 writing a term paper about why did it take so long for this to happen. And so I'm, not only am I projecting what I think this decade will be, I'm also saying what I think someone 12 years from now is going to say when they look back on it. So yeah, check it out and let me know what you think, because I tried to do some interesting stuff in that quote term paper.
Very good. That's at carswithcords.net. You can find Patrick's articles that he puts up. I'd like to have a personal thank you to a John A, who sent a referral code through my referral code. So thanks very much, John, for that. Hoping for one more referral code, and maybe we can book a factory tour and see if we can get Casey and Patrick down to the Texas plant. It would be interesting to see. So we will see if that happens.
Are they doing tours there?
They say they are. It's just that you have to submit the points, and then you will be contacted by a representative to book a time. So,
do you get to take 2 friends with you?
Yep, you can take up to 4.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So definitely, we'll try to swing that if that can happen. We'd make some cool videos if we could get that to happen as well. Want to thank Jim, Lynn, High Mileage Raw, JT, Basm, and June C for joining us in the chat room and contributing to the show. We really appreciate that and hope to see you back next week. With that said, you can, of course, follow us throughout the week on our Twitter feed at The Tesla Life, on our Facebook feed, The Tesla Life #1, and follow the updates throughout the week in between shows. And with that, we will get together next Wednesday and find out together what is happening in the Tesla life.
Stay positive, test negative.
Have a great week, everyone.